Everything was going well, better than well. There was warmth there, real warmth, something that felt like it was finally going somewhere. And then, without warning, they were gone. Not with a conversation, not with an explanation, just gone. Or maybe they did not fully disappear. Maybe they are still technically present, but something has shifted. They have become harder to reach. The warmth has cooled, and you are left trying to figure out what you did. Going back through every conversation, looking for the moment you said the wrong thing, said too much, needed too much, let yourself be seen too clearly. And I want to offer you something right now. Before we go any further, the disappearance almost certainly had nothing to do with what you did. It had to do with what they felt. And what they felt had almost nothing to do with you. It had to do with something much older than this relationship, something that was built in them before they ever met you. And understanding what that something is will not undo the pain of the disappearance, but it will stop you from making yourself the backed reason for it. Here is what happens inside the nervous system of someone who disappears when things get real. In the early stages of connection, everything feels manageable. The closeness is exciting. The stakes feel low enough that the nervous system can stay regulated, can stay present. Because the relationship has not yet asked for anything that triggers the deepest part of the fear. But then something shifts. A milestone. A conversation that went somewhere deeper than usual. A moment of genuine need. A future being implied. And something activates. Not consciously, not as a decision, as a signal deep in the nervous system that this is getting real. That what was safe because it was light is becoming something that requires actual presence, actual vulnerability, actual risk. And for someone whose nervous system learned early that closeness leads to pain, that signal does not feel like an invitation. It feels like a warning. Psychologists who study avoidant attachment describe the internal experience this way. I want connection. This feels good. Wait, this is getting too close. I need space. Maybe I am better off alone. Not manipulation, not a game. A nervous system that has hit its window of tolerance for closeness and is doing the only thing it knows how to do: regulate by withdrawing. And the critical thing to understand is where that window comes from. For most people who disappear when things get serious, the window was set in childhood, in environments where emotional needs consistently went unmet, where asking for closeness led to withdrawal or rejection or simply nothing, where the safest strategy was to stop needing people before they could fail to show up. The developing brain, extraordinarily efficient at survival, recorded this lesson clearly. The more you need someone, the more dangerous you become, because need creates exposure, and exposure creates the possibility of loss. And loss at a young age, before you have the internal resources to survive it, is the thing the nervous system will do almost anything to prevent. So it builds a system that feels the approach of real closeness and quietly begins to move away. Not to hurt you, to protect itself. And the tragedy is that the system is still running long after the original threat has passed. Long after the person is an adult with the capacity to survive loss. Long after the relationship in front of them is genuinely safe. The system does not update automatically. It runs the program it was built to run. And so, what looks from the outside like coldness or cruelty or cowardice is, from the inside, something that feels like survival. There is something here that is important for the person who was left behind, the one going back through every conversation, trying to find the moment they asked for too much. The disappearance activated your attachment system too, just in the opposite direction, where their nervous system moves away from closeness under threat, yours moves toward it, reaches for reassurance, needs to understand what happened, needs to know you are still okay. This is not weakness. It is an equally valid nervous system response. The anxious system says, closeness keeps me safe. The avoidant system says, closeness puts me at risk. Neither is wrong. Both were built in response to something real. Both are simply responding to the threat, the way they were designed to respond. The problem is that when these two systems meet, they tend to create a loop. The more you reach, the more they withdraw. The more they withdraw, the more you reach. Neither person is behaving badly. Both are simply activated, and the loop continues until one or both of them understands what is actually driving it. Here is the trap that this dynamic creates for the person who was left behind. Because the disappearance arrives without explanation, the mind goes looking for one, and the explanation it almost always lands on is something about you. I was too much. I was not enough. I needed too much. I should have been easier. I should have been less. And that explanation, once installed, becomes the story you carry into the next relationship. The one where you make yourself smaller, preemptively, where you hold back what you actually feel, because you are afraid that being real will drive people away again. And so, the disappearance, which had everything to do with their nervous system and almost nothing to do with you, ends up shaping how you show up for years afterward. This is why understanding what actually happened matters. Not to excuse the behavior, not to invite the person back, but to stop the story that makes you the cause of someone else's inability to stay. For those of you who recognize the disappearing pattern in yourselves, who have felt the GB connection start to deepen and then felt the familiar pull toward distance, this too is not a verdict. It is a map that shows you where the fear lives and what it was originally protecting you from. And the fact that you can feel it happening, that you are aware of the pull, even as it occurs, is already different from what came before, because awareness creates the possibility of a pause, and in that pause, a different choice. Not the absence of fear, but the decision to stay present with it rather than escape from it. That is the beginning of something different. Not easy, not immediate, but real. If this video gave you something that shifted the story you have been telling yourself about, why someone disappeared, leave a comment, even one word. I read every single one. And if you know someone who is trying to make themselves the reason for someone else's disappearance, share this with them. Sometimes, the most useful thing we can offer is a different explanation for a pain that has been living in the wrong place. This is Emotions and Decisions. Take care of yourself, and I will see you in the next one.